Hello, everyone. How is everyone doing? Buenas tardes. Assalamu alaikum. Hola. I hope everyone is doing well. I am attorney Mamita Rahman, and I'm here to talk about immigration. And I'm in a good mood today because I spoke to many people who I found out that I can help. Here's number one. I want you to think about this. If you are in a marriage to a US citizen and you are really, really worried about what will happen to you because you have filed for your green card already and the relationship is not going well. Maybe your spouse has left, has abandoned you, or they're putting you through a lot of turmoil. I want you to ask yourself this: would I need to be in the situation if I were not an immigrant? Or is my spouse doing certain things to me because I am an immigrant? And when you're an immigrant, you're in a vulnerable position because you're worried about getting deported. You're worried about what might happen to you if your spouse leaves, if they withdraw your application. And I want you to know that you may have certain options available to you, especially if you have started that green card process. Now, I don't want anyone to have to go through pain and suffering. I don't want you to have to live in fear. I don't want you to have to suffer in silence. And that is what a lot of immigrants do, especially when they're in marriages to citizens or residents where they're being taken advantage of in different ways or being put down. So if you're going through certain of these things, what I want you to know is that you are not alone. And I understand what you're going through. And this is my primary job, to help people who are going through these situations when they're feeling like they have no options but to stay in a situation that is not mentally good for them or physically safe for them. So if you're in this position, please give us a call, 212-248-7907. I've got my assistants, Abel, Josue, and Anderson waiting to take your call and to put you down for an appointment, because the sooner you get help, the sooner you file applications for yourself, the sooner you will be safe and sound, okay? And I spoke to a gentleman today who was really confused about what he should do. He's in a situation where he has filed his application, but he's hoping that his wife will come back or that they will be able to continue the green card process together. And my feeling is this: when someone puts you through these situations, their behavior may not really change. And what you can do instead, because you can't control what they will do or what they won't do, you can control what you do. What you can do is pick up the phone to talk to an attorney who understands how these sort of things play out in real life, and they know how to help you secure your legal status. And at least, if your spouse is definitely not going to help you, you may have no other option but to go ahead and take your own future into your own hands, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and answer some questions right now. I have a question from Chavalito who's asking, can someone with the domestic violence record get status? Chavalito, that's a very good question. So if you have any sort of criminal history, whether it's domestic violence or assault or drunk driving, you need to first of all disclose your history to immigration, because they're always going to be able to see it. Now, domestic violence is in a category of its own. It's considered to be very, very serious, and we really need to look to see what happened. And there are some cases where we might be able to waive or basically fix or excuse the domestic violence charge. But generally, when you have a charge for domestic violence, if it's a conviction for domestic violence, it may be a problem to getting your situation fixed. So Chavalito, what I recommend is for you to get all of your court documentation to actually show what happens in the end. If you were, because people can get charged, people can get accused of different things at any time, but that does not necessarily mean that you're actually guilty of domestic violence. So we really have to look to see what happens finally at the end. What did the judge sentence you to? Did they even dismiss the case? So give us a call, Chavalito, and make sure you get your documents in order so we can take a look and analyze. Okay. So NS Sayed is asking, can one sponsor their child outside the US while their green card application is pending or while they have conditional residency? Okay, if you are a conditional resident and you want to sponsor your children, listen, you're still a green card holder. When you have a 2-year conditional residency, you are actually still considered a green card holder. The only thing that is different between a conditional resident and a permanent resident is the fact that conditional residents have a 2-year green card, whereas permanent residents have a 10-year green card. You actually still have the same rights and benefits as a 10-year green card holder. which means that if you have minor children that are outside the US, you can go ahead and submit an application for them to come join you in the US as an immigrant. Keep in mind that they are going to be considered preference category relatives in F2A, I believe, category, which means that there might be a wait time if the priority retrogresses. But yes, Arbeen, go ahead and submit your application now. Get the application for your children in line, because anytime anyone is in need of filing an immigration application, the very first thing you need to consider is that just file the application, because you have to get in line. Immigration takes so long these days. It takes sometimes 6 to 8 months just to get a work permit. It can take 1 year to 2 years to even get an interview for your green card application. So the point is if you're going to wait, if you say, I'm going to do this and later, next year, I'll think about it, well, you're going to lose a lot of time because you still haven't gotten yourself into that line. West Coast Babes asking, how can I start with you from California? West Coast Babes, thank you so much for the message. You can start, give us a call. I work with clients all over the US. As an immigration lawyer, I am licensed to practice immigration law pretty much anywhere because immigration law is federally mandated. As long as I am admitted in one state, I can actually practice anywhere as long as it's only immigration law. So give us a call. We are doing almost everything virtually. And if you're in California, not a problem. I actually have tons of clients in California that I'm helping right now. We file their cases. We're waiting for interviews. I travel for interviews. I travel for court. So it's not impossible at all. And I would say, West Coast Babes, just give us a call, 212-248-7907. Toasty Doshi is asking, do you have to file taxes together after being married as proof of filing for a spouse? All right, very good question. Do you have to file joint taxes if you're married and you are getting a green card through marriage? You don't have to, but you really should, because filing joint taxes is one of the biggest and strongest pieces of proof that immigration looks at to decide whether your marriage is real. They have different priority levels of evidence. People sometimes think that, oh, we've got tons of pictures, we've got tons of affidavits from witnesses, but this is not what immigration wants to see. Immigration officers actually want to see joint taxes, joint leases, joint bills. They want to see joint financial activity, because to them, nothing really proves a strong relationship other than joint liabilities and assets. To them, that's the strongest indication of a bona fide marriage. Even though, as we know these days, that's kind of an old-fashioned way of thinking about it. But when you're filing for immigration, it's best to do things the way that they like to see it. So I recommend that you do file for joint taxes. If you don't file for joint taxes, make sure you're at the very least, filing married filing separately, and make sure you talk to a good accountant to make sure your taxes are properly filed. Can I do paperwork for my uncle? No, you cannot, because an uncle, an aunt, grandparent, these are not relatives that you can petition for in immigration law. All right, let's look at my YouTube followers. Sal, I'm glad to hear that 2 of your relatives got interviews. Tarsem Sidhu is asking, hi ma'am, can I apply for travel document if my asylum is pending in court? Tarsem, thank you very much. If you're in court and you filed for asylum, you cannot get a travel document. You actually need to finish out your case in court first, be granted for asylum, then you'll be eligible, if you get asylum, to apply for a refugee travel permit. So Love is asking, I filed for an expedite. They emailed me and said, you meet the requirements. Does that mean I was approved? It was for an emergency expedite of an I-130 petition, but the email says you meet the requirements. Love, that's really great. If you're getting an email after filing an expedite saying that you meet the requirements, that means that you meet the requirements for an expedite. So they're probably going to approve you, but you should probably wait to see what other documentation and communication you get next. Safi Rahman is asking, can I visit Bangladesh with my conditional green card if my parents applied for asylum upon leaving Bangladesh and I'm in the file? Oh, that's a very good question, Sati. So if you got a conditional green card, then I don't think that you're technically in your parents', you're not a derivative asylum asylee, but you may want to just take a look at their case and their paperwork to see what they wrote. Are you filing for asylum? You have to make sure that you didn't file for asylum yourself. But otherwise, if you received a conditional green card, you should be fine to travel wherever you want. Make sure you travel back to the US before your card expires, and make sure if you're a conditional resident that you don't stay outside the US for more than 180 days in each year. Otherwise, you may have a problem with filing for citizenship down the road. Okay. Nalali is asking, I'm wanting to file for my dad, but my mom says I can't because he owes money to the IRS. I don't know if that's true. Good question. So Nalali, if you are the U.S. citizen and you're trying to file for your parent, it's not really your parent that needs to be up to date on taxes. It's really you who needs to be up to date on taxes. So if your dad owes taxes, I don't see that as being a problem, but definitely give us a call, 212-248-7907. I'd be happy to take a look at the case to see if there's any other issues involved, okay? All right. Raul is asking me if I'm a criminal defense lawyer. I am not. Zahid Mardani is asking, if I'm married and my spouse left me with a temporary green card, can I file for a permanent green card? All right, so if you have a temporary green card and your spouse left you, you still need to make sure that you file your application to remove conditions on that green card in a timely manner. Now, if your spouse left, then you may need to do either a divorce waiver or possibly you may need to seek a waiver based upon extreme cruelty and battery. Really depends on your case. I would love to talk to you and see what has happened during your marriage, Zahid, to see if maybe we could do that for you, okay? So Tony Rami is asking, I live in Texas. If I schedule consultation, can I email or fax forms? Yes, you can fax, you can email. We prefer email, but definitely give us a call and we'll let you know how to give us documents because there are definitely some documents that we're probably gonna wanna see. All right, everyone, I've got to get going. Thank you so much for joining. I know it's a short, quick live, but I'll be on vacation next week, so hopefully we can talk some more and do longer lives. Take care.